Hi. Another day, another car live to come hang out with everybody, see how everyone's doing. I know it's Friday evening. It's a weird time. This is my work break, and this is when I usually come on and do live. So, again, I know it's a weird time. I don't know if anybody is going to pop into this or not, but I thought I would come on and hang out for a bit. This is my second live this week. Usually I try to make sure I get one in just to kind of come on and be available to see if anyone has any questions or wants to know anything about me or what I'm doing. If you're new here, I am a certified trauma recovery coach, and I'm a survivor of abuse in a queer relationship. I typically come on here and we talk about abuse. That's usually what comes up, but I'm always happy to talk about other things. If you don't know, I am a mom, I homeschool, I co-parent with my son's other parent, and I love to travel. So those are some of the things that people typically ask me about. Like I said, anything is fair game. Hi, welcome in. Before I just dive in and start talking about abuse related stuff or whatever typically comes up, I wanted to put it out there that yes, like I said, I'm a certified trauma recovery coach. I offer one-on-one coaching. I do 30-minute, 60-minute sessions, and I have a 6-week ongoing package little program thing available. And if you are queer, I offer a monthly support group. It's one Saturday a month with my friend Trey De La Torre. We just had ours last weekend, so probably it'll be the third weekend in April, but don't quote me on that. Typically, we give it about a week after we have a session and just kind of chill. And then we get together and start planning for that next session. So we're really excited to have that available for queer folks because Trey and I were both abused in our first queer relationship, and we just did not have that kind of support. We didn't have like a safe space to be queer folks coming out of our first queer relationships. So we're really excited to be able to offer that. Oh, hi. I feel like I haven't seen you on here in ages. How are you doing? I'm good. I'm really good. I try to go live once a week. Typically it's around this time. But lately it's been rough. My work schedule's changed a little bit and I don't have the break that I'm used to having or that I've had for so long that has enabled me to be able to come on here on my work breaks. So we're trying to fit it in. Like I said, it's like sort of one of my like weekly to do things is like just go live once a week and just go hang out. Because for a while I wasn't going live for like at all. So yeah, I'm just here. How are you doing, Maddie? It's nice to see you in here. And yeah, if you're new here, if you're just popping in, like I said, I am a certified trauma recovery coach. That's what I usually talk about. You can ask me anything. Anything is fair game. Typically someone will come in and have some questions they need answered and we'll end up, talking about why, what abuse looks like, what are some signs of abuse? What can you do when this happens? What does it mean? Why? All of that stuff. How do I get out of this? Which is what I do in my coaching. So this week, if you haven't heard the podcast yet, I talk about boundaries. I talk about what it looks like when a healthy or non-abusive person sets a boundary versus when an abusive person sets a boundary. They're two very different things. And another thing I've been talking about a lot lately, especially on my new coaching Instagram account, is pets and children, of course. But lately I've been talking specifically about pets being used as pawns in abusive situations. Unfortunately, that is very common. So if any of those things sound like something you want to talk about, you can take the bait. If not, we'll dive into whatever else comes up. A bit sad I just had to go no contact with my family, and my brother was pretty nasty about it. That sucks. I am so sorry to hear that. But I'm also very proud of you for making that decision. It's a really tough decision to make. Unfortunately, a lot of people are having to make that decision these days because, some of us are wanting to heal, and that includes healing some of those childhood wounds. And it's very hard when, unfortunately, a lot of us have, family who aren't ready to do that. So you end up looking like the bad one. You look like the black sheep. You look like you're the one that's causing all the problems. And it's really unfortunate, but it's one of those things that hurts really, really bad up front. And then, yeah, like you said, but I'm proud I enforced my boundaries and I feel safe and supported by my fiance and friends. Yeah, absolutely. It's so painful and it sucks that anyone has to do that. And I wish nobody did. But you do it and it hurts up front, and it does hurt for a long time, but it hurts less. It becomes more of like, it's really unfortunate that this is the way things are. You just, you kind of get used to it. But I am like you said, I'm very proud of you too, for enforcing your boundaries and knowing that it was time. And then the other thing about your brother, and I've had this happen too, is, when you set that boundary and someone's really nasty about it, it's kind of like you've simply confirmed my decision. You've made it very clear that this was the right thing. This is what I needed to do. So thank you. Even though it sucks to be, to have someone react to you in that way and to say the things they say and to, I'm just assuming, to blame you and make you feel like you're crazy and dramatic and all of that stuff, call you names. But like I said, it sort of reinforces your decision and you're like, oh, okay, that really sucked, but I'm doing the right thing. Hey, Kat, how's it going? We're just doing the usual. We're just hanging out. It's Friday evening. I don't usually go live on Friday evenings, and I don't know if people watch lives on Friday evenings, but I had a little bit here. I don't have as long as I usually prefer to have when I go live, but had a little bit of time and thought I would just come on for a few, as usual. So we haven't really talked about anything crazy yet. We're just kind of sort of talking about going no contact with family and how it's really hard, but can be totally worth it. I think something that's really common for survivors of abuse is that when we start to heal from our abusive relationships and we start to realize what's really going on and realize that we've got some wounds we need to heal, and we start doing the work, we start to realize that there are a lot of relationships around us that have always been around us that are also unhealthy. Whether, maybe it's your best friend, maybe it's a sibling, maybe it's a parent, and you're like, oh, crap, yeah, this makes a lot of sense, and this sucks, and I don't want to have to do this, but it's not working for me right now. So I think that that's a pretty common experience for people who have experienced abuse and, childhood emotional neglect and all of that, which so many of us have. What world is that? Okay. Are you working? Yes, I'm working. And I actually had a longer break today. So I was like, I'll come hop on, I have time. Like I said, I don't have as long as I usually do, but I actually did have some time. So I was like, I'm going to do it. Because lately I've been having a very short break in comparison to how it was before. So it's really weird to be out here and it's still light out though. Because I feel like the last couple times that I was live, and sitting in my car at this time, it was not this light out. So that's good. But my therapist said if your family is associated with pain and suffering, then don't keep them. Again, great advice from a therapist. I think that's so true. And I think one of the hardest things about family and making that decision is that as a society, we're all taught that we have to be the most loyal to our family, like blood is thicker than water. Like we're keeping secrets for family members that do horrible things, and we're staying loyal to them, trying to make relationships work. We're trying to shove a square peg in a round hole. And, a lot of times, I've heard people say things like, the only thing I have in common with my family is that blood connection. Like, yes, I was born from you, or yes, we're born from the same parent, but there's not really a connection. And it's really sad. Ideally, in a perfect world, at least what we've been told is that we would have a loving family who cherishes us and we cherish them. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but there's willingness to grow and understand and communicate and all that stuff. But the truth is that so many of us don't have that. And at the end of the day, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of our own mental health and the other relationships that we're trying to nurture and grow. So if we have our own children or we have our own relationships and we're trying to have healthy relationships, but then there's these other people who are just kind of making us feel yucky. We're feeling worn out. We're feeling like every time we communicate with them, it's a battle. It's this whole production. And at the end of the day, it affects, when you have abusive or toxic relationships, it affects all aspects of your life. It carries over. It's not something that we can just be like, this interaction was toxic, going to put it on the shelf and we're going to move on. It's very difficult. Well, yeah, my brother said you stick together, but I'm like, yes, but I don't feel like we do. And that's the other thing, is that it can very much be used as a manipulation, right? And I don't know your brother, and I don't know, his role in things. But it's like all of a sudden when you're trying to take a step back, they're pulling out the whole loyalty thing. But all the other times, like when you're sticking and when you're being loyal, they're treating you poorly, or it's not a healthy relationship. And so, yeah, it can definitely be used to manipulate and keep you around and guilt trip. Sometimes it is better to place healthy boundaries and walk away. Absolutely. Boundaries with, of course, it starts raining right now. Boundaries with family members are so difficult because of our own expectations for those relationships. Hi, can you see our messages? Yes, I can. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, like just from like watching movies and just what we're told, we grow up thinking that, a father is supposed to be a father, a mother is supposed to be a mother, mom, a dad, a mommy, a daddy, mama, dada, whatever. Because like that's what we're born into, and they're supposed to have, like, they chose us and they love us and they treat us well, and they respect us and we respect them. And then our siblings, we're supposed to be like really close with our siblings. We just come from the same parents. And so we do have these expectations. It's like, I guess it's just the same as like a dog is this. A dog is supposed to be loyal and good and they wag their tail when you come home. But if you have a dog that like bites and jumps and does all this stuff, you're like, what the hell is this? It's kind of the same thing, right? We have these preconceived notions of what those relationships are supposed to be like. And so then we're constantly left with disappointment when we have family who are, maybe they're not bad, but they're unhealthy. They're stuck in their own toxic relationships. Like maybe you have siblings who are stuck in their own toxic relationships and they don't have a lot to give, or they don't want to see you growing because they don't want to be forced to see their own, challenges that they're experiencing. And it's really, really hard when you have a parent who's stuck and you can't help them. Like we can't help those people see that there's a better way to live. We can't help them be like, this is trauma. This is all coming from a place of trauma. It's nobody's fault most of the time. Sometimes someone is like horrible, but a lot of times it's just generational trauma handed down. That's the case in my family. It was accidental neglect because of emotional unavailability and all of that stuff. And so like we can work together and we can love each other and support each other out of this, instead of just trying to stay in this place that's absolute shit, right? Like let's all grab each other by the hand and pull each other out, instead of just being like, no, it's all, the crab theory kind of thing. Or it should say, or I should say comments, not messages. Yes, I can see all the comments. And I believe everyone else who's in the live can see them as well. Hi, Gabriella. Welcome in. So, yeah. Personally, I have no contact with any of my aunts or uncles. I don't like them. Hey, Maddie, how's it going? Welcome in. It's good to see you. Lately, been seeing a lot more of you. Yeah, I don't like any of my aunts and uncles. I have no contact with them. I don't care. And that felt really bad at first. Like, what a shitty niece we have. She's rude. She blocked us all on Instagram. I don't care. You've never done anything for me. You're not a part of my life. You don't care. Like, you don't genuinely know anything about me, whatever. And I have pulled back in a lot of ways from my immediate family. I didn't talk to my sister for like 6 months, from like August to very, very recently, like maybe a month ago. And it's hard. My sister and I are finally talking again, and it's like light and surfacey. But I think that the difference between now and 6 months ago, when I needed to go no contact with her, one was because when I would talk to her or hear from her, I would have a similar reaction to the way I felt when my abuser would talk to me, or how she would talk to my child felt the same as how my abuser would talk to my child and stuff like that. So I was like, you gotta go. And I've come a long way with that healing. And also, I've come a long way with accepting the fact that my sister doesn't have to be my friend. She can be my sister and we can have communication. And if she's going to be an a-hole, that's cool. It doesn't need to tear me apart like it was, because I was trying so hard to have this really strong, solid relationship with her. And it doesn't help that like my dad passed away when we were all still children. And so like I've always had this idea that we needed to be just like each other's rock, and we're not. And we all have our own separate families and we have kids and stuff like that. So I'm sharing this because I want all of you to like know that I understand the difficulties, and like, you know, it is different to be a person in society who's like, my siblings don't have to be my best friends and my mom's not good for me. And to be able to do that, it's a big thing. And a lot of people frown upon it. And a lot of people will try to tell you that you shouldn't do that, but you have to listen to your gut and you have to take care of yourself. Trying to be brave over here. Hello, scary. It is very scary. You're doing big, brave things. You really are. Yes, we have to stay realistic. People may not see what you see, and it can be so frustrating. Absolutely. People might not see it from your perspective, and each of us have our own, like sometimes like if it's among siblings, like other siblings will recognize and realize like, yes, that person is doing things that are problematic within the family circle, blah, 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 but maybe they don't have the same feelings or reactions to it. Like I, for some reason, was having huge reactions to my sister's behaviors or my sister's things that she would do or not do. Like I would have huge reactions, and I feel like my other sisters would be like, what is that? I don't, okay. Whereas like it was traumatizing to me. It was really, really messing with me, my mental health. Like I would get angry, I would get sad, I would cry. Like I was just having these huge reactions. And so yeah, each relationship is very individual, and maybe two of my sisters can have a really awesome relationship, but I can't have that with that sister. And that's okay. And like you said, we have to stay realistic and understand that, again, with any relationship across the board, we can't force it to be what we think it should be or could be, right? Because it's two people, it's two very different people. And we don't get to be like, I'm going to fix these things about you, and they don't get to fix the things about us, right? My dad recently started making jokes about his actions in my childhood as a comparison to how I raise my kids. It's been troubling. That is horrible and kind of messed up. And I'm sorry. That's very hard. And I think I can probably guess how he parented versus how you're parenting, and guess kind of some of the things that he says. And it's really tough. Boundaries are hard, but necessary. Absolutely. I had my ex come back in my life recently, and it was really hard to go no contact again. Were you able to go no contact again, or are you still struggling with that? What's the status currently? I know it's frustrating. And a lot of times when we've made such headway on going no contact and getting these people out of our lives, and then I always call it like chutes and ladders, right? Like you're climbing up the ladder and then shoot, and you feel like you're back at square one, but you're never back at square one, because now you have the information that you didn't have before, and you have the knowledge and you have the tools that you didn't have before. So even if you slide down one of the chutes, it's not the big chute. You're not at square one. You're not back at start. It's just find that freaking ladder and climb again, restart. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. I know it's really hard. I know it's really hard to go no contact again, and you've opened the door again and all of that stuff. So on your own time, no pressure. You know what you got to do. Only you can make that decision, and just keep your eye on the ladder and be like, I'm going to grab you as soon as I can and get right back up on that ladder and climb, keep climbing. So, ooh. So I had a notebook I needed for my miles, and he tried to talk me to talking things through. So you had a notebook that he had possession of, and you needed it. So you got it back, and now the door is open again. Hi, can you say hi, Kenzie? Hi, Kenzie. Oh, goodness. Man, I've been so tired lately. I told him, no, I don't want to. Just my notebook, and just set boundaries and blocked him. Okay, queen. That's amazing. That is, you did it. You didn't even, like, you kept your hand on the ladder the whole time. You're like, I ain't shooting. Like, you just got your thing and went. That's amazing. That takes so much strength. Because like you said, like, he's automatically like, let's talk. It's the door is open for the Hoover to happen, and you recognize it, and you're like, nope, I'm just gonna close this door again, because we do not need that door open. It is not helpful. Oh, it's getting cold. Have like 3 more hours of work, and then I'm done for the weekend. I can do this. Hi, welcome in. Eyes twitching. Hi, Keegan. It's funny because I always have a fidget. I have something going on, and on TikTok you can't see it, but you can see it on Facebook and YouTube. Like, you can see the thing that I'm getting up to, because it's like the wide screen or whatever, the wide angle. Thank you. It was really hard. A lot of drama, of course, but he gives me anxiety, so I blocked his best. Absolutely blocked his best. And I'm really glad that you came in here and shared that, because you never know who's in here watching this or who's going to watch it later and see that you just did that and remind themselves that they can do that too. Because a lot of times, like, we feel so alone when we're being abused, and we feel so like we're the only ones going through it, and we feel crazy. And when they have access to us again, it's so easy to give into it. And so you never know who was watching this or who will watch this later and is like, oh my gosh, okay, yes, I unblocked them. Yes, they reached out to me. I can just block them again and keep moving on and like know what's best for me and stay true to that. Hello, what's going on? We're just hanging out. We're talking about abuse right now. But I'm not just I'm a trauma recovery coach, but that's not all I do. So I'm always happy to talk about other things. Always happy to talk about other things. Although, to be fair, I have now separated my accounts on Instagram and Facebook. So I am Lindsay Goodman Coaching to talk about abuse, and the Lindsay Goodman is now to talk about whatever the heck I feel like talking about. Anything is fair game. I don't expect everyone to follow me over there, and I don't expect to have that account like blow up or anything, but I just like not feeling like I'm tied down to one thing and that I have to talk about abuse. I don't like that feeling. I never like that feeling, because it's cool, like, on social media when people have a niche and that's all I talk about, and like, when you go to that page, that's what you're going to get. But it was very hard teetering between like a lot of people said, like, on Instagram, I would do both. And a lot of people would say, no, this is abuse. Like, this is your healing journey. You're sharing all your healing, like the things that you're doing, what this looks like for you now. But then I was like, now I don't even want to share any abuse stuff, because it was just like, I just want to be like light and fluffy and whatever. And it was like really messy and whatnot. At least it was for me. It felt really messy. So it's all separate now. And like I said, I don't expect everyone to follow me everywhere, but yeah, if you ever do want to check it out, it's the Lindsay Goodman. That was my name on this account up until like a week ago. And I just post about, like, I don't know, it's gonna be like mom stuff, gay stuff, travel stuff, like whatever the hell, whatever, right? But yeah, anything is fair game, always, because I'm a human. Hello, miss. Hi, welcome in. I remember you saying you offer coaching in ASL. If so, how did you get into that? Yeah, so I am an American Sign Language interpreter. That's what I do for a living. I also do coaching for a living. But ASL interpreter is my bread and butter. That's what I have been doing for the last 12 years of my life. How I got into that, thank you for asking. I do love when people ask me like random stuff about other things, because like I said, I'm not a robot. But I got my degree in American Sign Language interpreting, graduated in 2012, and I just did it on a whim. I don't have a cool story. I really like, I've always been drawn to like other languages and cultures and things like that. And I was like, I want to do that. Didn't know anything about it. Didn't realize that it was like this whole huge, amazing culture and community. And I'm really thankful for that. But yes, I do offer coaching in American Sign Language. I also can do coaching in Spanish. I'm currently trying to get certified to a very high level of Spanish, because I feel like if I have that, I will feel more like, yes, I can coach in Spanish. My Spanish is very good. However, I just feel like as a non-native Spanish speaker, it's a weird thing to be like, also, I coach in Spanish just because, this is just my imposter syndrome. But like with ASL, yeah, I'm like a nationally certified sign language interpreter who's been working for 12 years. So if you need coaching in ASL, I can do that. No question. And I have done that. In fact, one of my first clients was deaf, and that was really cool to be able to like tie in my two professions. Tie in those two professions and bring in those two passions and things like that. So many different things define us as women. That is very, very true. And ASL needs more representation. Okay. But also, ASL interpreters as a whole are mostly white, cisgendered women. So I am one of like billions. Interpreting is a relatively small field, but in terms of in the interpreting field, I'm a dime a dozen. The only thing that's unique about me, or more unique about me in comparison to the grand scheme of interpreters, is that I'm queer. So, if there's a queer event, then I'm a better choice than others. But a lot of times what happens with interpreters is there's a something that's for the BIPOC community, and we need a BIPOC interpreter, and there ain't one. Or, male interpreters, those are the ones that are like, there's a lot less representation there. But I know you need balance. It's hard to coach in trauma, and I appreciate what you do. It's hard work, though. Yes, it is. It really is. But that said, if you don't know, I offer very few coaching slots throughout the week because I do try to have a balance. I have my interpreting, and when I'm not at this job, I'm home with my son. He is homeschooled, and I have this job so that I can homeschool him, and be with him and travel with him and do all these things, right? And so what happens is that, like, yes, I make a lot of content. I have the podcast. I'm doing a lot of like trauma stuff, but I have a minimal amount of clients. So if you're ever thinking about coaching with me, you got to book it fast, because if I feel like typically I do 2 clients a week. So 3, maybe once in a while. Once it gets to 4, I'm not doing it, because I want to be able to focus on the clients that I do have and to do a really good job with them and to not get overwhelmed, because it can be really hard. And, I'm only a year and a half. I'm 16 months out. 16 months, no contact. And, if people are talking about things that I still have a lot of pain about, like, for example, someone abusing their child, that's still very hard for me. So I have to get off of that and do my own self-care and do my own process and things like that. I am not going to just sit here and coach back to back to back and not take care of myself and, and then not be able to take care of my son. So I'm glad that you said that, because I have talked about that in the past, and I don't always say that when I'm like, hey, I updated my availability, or, I offer this coaching or whatever. I don't always say like, y'all, I want you to also know that, spots are limited, because I don't want to run myself into the ground with this. This is something that I think what happens a lot of times you see it with social workers and therapists and other people who are working in mental health coaches, trauma recovery coaches, is that we do too much. And I am very lucky that I have multiple streams of income, mostly just this one, but that I don't have to run myself into the ground with this. And I feel also very thankful that I'm at a point in my life where I'm taking care of myself to the best of my ability. Taking care of yourself as an adult is very hard, especially when you're healing and you're trying to raise a child, and now I feel like I'm just like complaining, or just like whining about how hard life is. But it's very hard to take care of yourself and like eat healthy and sleep well and take your vitamins and get enough exercise and do all of that stuff while raising a human, having a career, and trying to heal. It's a lot. So yeah, all that to say, I do need balance. We all need balance. It's very important. And I'm just learning that now at my ripe old age. Hi, welcome in. How's it going? I have about 10 minutes left before I have to go inside. Man. My son likes to collect these little pennies. And this one got all like stained because it was in my cup holder. That's too bad. I'll have to see if that'll come off. But at least I found it. I thought it was lost for a while. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I have about 10 minutes left. So if anyone has any burning questions or if anyone has any, hi Laura, long time no see. Anything anything you want to know about me, anything you want to tell me before I sort of wrap this up. Good you. It's Raina. We spoke about homeschooling last. Yes, I do remember. And yeah, it's going well. It's going well. And I appreciate that. Yeah, I always appreciate when people, when a lot of times I'll ask about something that's like a little bit more random in regards to like what I talk about online, like publicly. And I always appreciate when people are so willing to share and support in other ways, because we are whole people, right? We're not compartmentalized little fragments of humans, although sometimes it feels like it. I haven't seen a pressed penny in forever. Yeah, he loves it. He got his first one in Spain, and then he got this one in Idaho, and he just got two at the Vancouver Aquarium, and they had the little penny books. And so I got him one of those penny books, and now he's got those. He's got 4, and so I imagine now that he'll probably want to collect them like on our travels and stuff, which is really cool. And I was thinking recently, this is like a random little wrap up. It's like when you grow up, you're like, why the hell do I have a bunch of pressed pennies? And I was just thinking about how like when we're kids, things are so precious to us. And yeah, someone just said, hope you're doing well, dear girl. Thank you very much. Did you look into drying or pressing your flowers? I did. I dried them. They're hanging. I should have pressed them. Now I'm thinking I should have pressed them, but they're hanging. But yeah, like we collect things when we're children and they're so precious to us and our faces light up and we're so excited. And then we grow up and it's weird to collect stuff. Like when you think about someone who has a collection as an adult, you're like, why do you collect? Like, it's like a weird thing. As a society, we have decided that you reach a certain age and whatever you've collected, the things that you were passionate about when you were little are dumb. And so I really foster like in my child, like when he wants to collect something, I'm like, you're going to collect those and we're going to keep them until you are like, no, this is dumb. But like, I was going to ask people, I was going to come on and like ask on my social media, like, what did you collect when you were little? And when did you stop collecting it? And do you collect anything now? Like, do you collect anything that's not like a obvious thing that adults have? Like a lot of people have plants, which is super cool. I love plants. That's the only thing that I sort of like have collected as an adult that I'm like, I would like to have these near me. These are special. Of course, they're like living things that you take care of and whatnot, but there's nothing in my life that I'm like, I collect like mushroom figurines. I don't know. I said that because I have these little TikTok. You can't see it. My son made this at like a craft. It's like a little handicraft studio thing. You can't see it. There it is. It's on beads. He put like 400 beads on it. It's not aesthetic, but I like it. I'm not a sad beige mom, so I still collect postcards. Oh, I like that. I don't. I collect. Hold on. There's something that so lately I've been buying on my travels. I choose one book for me and one for my son from the place that we travel to. So I have like a book that I picked from Mexico City, a book that I bought in Spain. Actually, I have a couple. And a book that I bought in Copenhagen. And so things that like remind me of my travel, but they're like books. I don't like to have too many books. I don't like to have too many things, but it's like a hand selected special book on my bookshelf that reminds me of my travels. But still, that's very like adulty, right? I was like, I collect books and plants. And there was something, my kid and I, we do magnets. Our fridge is like wild. That's something that my my son's dad and I did before we had him. We already had some magnets and things like that. So we went on to that. And now that I'm doing ornaments, my son and I like to get ornaments from places that we have traveled to. So it's kind of like little things like that. And the cool thing about ornaments is you only see them like once a year. They come out and you have them out and put stuff like that up. But yeah, I'm gonna ask that again, because I just think it's so sad that like as like we get to a certain age and again we're not allowed to care about the things that we cared about when we were little. It is one thing to be like, okay, I don't need 400 Beanie Babies. I'm an adult now. I don't have space for it. They don't have any meaning to me anymore. Like Marie Kondo, that shit. Like, give it to someone who it's going to bring some joy to. I get that. But like, why did someone tell us that we couldn't have scented erasers? As a kid, scented erasers, as an adult, decorative pears. I just like them. Don't know why, but they make me happy. I love that. I'm definitely going to ask this on my stories on Instagram when I pop off here. I think that's a really cool thing to be able to share. And it's so interesting because, like, for example, I wouldn't necessarily get decorative pears for me because they don't have like a special meaning or they don't like make me specifically happy. But I just got super happy for you because I was like, that's so cool. And so I can't wait to see what people collect and just seeing how unique we are. And yeah, I just think that's really cool. Also, I'm really glad that we got on this topic. I'm glad I picked up the penny because, again, this is an example of how like I come on here as a trauma recovery coach and we talk about that, but there's so much more to all of us as humans. And I feel like this is a little bit of like an inner child reach back and just like honoring our inner child when we do this. And like, what a great way to wrap this up. When I was a child, I used to love those miniature ceramic animals that come attached to paper. Did they come in like, what did they come with? Hold on. Because I think I had those as well. Did they come on like, I'm going to show these to you. My dad used to get it in like tea bags. They would come in like, oh yeah, no, totally. Oh, little critters. Now I think I know what you're talking about. And it's not the same, but my dad would get them in like tea. They would come in like he'd get like a box of tea. I don't know if it's like Lentons or what it was. And there would be a little animal figurine in there. And we loved those. And we had like Disney glass. They came from like, they were like jam jars, but it would be like anyway. Our inner children are coming out. If I actually traveled, I would probably choose something else. Most of my cards are from other people. Yeah. Yeah. It would be so cool, Kat, to see like if you traveled, like when you're perusing and you're like, what's the thing that I want to bring home? To see what you would select. We also collect magnets from places we go. Fun, useful, and don't take up a ton of space. Exactly. And the other cool thing is that like I can give those to my son someday, like when he moves out and has his own place, if he wants to take them. Like, cool. Have you ever called ice on someone you didn't like? Absolutely not. No, I never would. We had the Disney jam jars too. I think we still have them somewhere. That's awesome. See, my mom got rid of all that stuff. My mom was like, "Y'all is big now, bye." And you know, in some ways, I'm grateful to not have like junk in my house. I mean, I do have junk, but like at the same time, it's like, who makes these choices? Okay, I would love to travel, but I'm just not that type of person. Do you know that? Have you traveled? Because sometimes, like, I didn't know that I liked traveling until I was like maybe 22 or 23. The first time I got on a plane. And we went to like Arizona and California and Vegas. And I was with my dumb college boyfriend. And I liked it. But then we went to Europe. And the first place we went to was, anyone that knows me can probably guess it. Drum roll, please. Yes, it was Spain. Still my favorite place. Wasn't expecting to like Spain as much as I did. I was like, I want to go to Germany. I really want to go to Germany because my dad had lived in Germany and my dad passed away. And I was like, I had to go to this place where my dad was, you know. And then we got to Spain and I was like, no, wait, hold on. Can we stay here? This is it. This is it for me. So I didn't know that I liked traveling until I did. And until I started to, like, I started to realize how much I love, like, the sense of freedom and I get to make choices and no one else is around. I'd like to travel alone. That's the biggest thing. I like to travel with my son alone without another adult because, like, you're just in my way. I've started collecting stuffed animals and mermaids again. They're still too expensive, but they are soft and they make smaller me happy. I love that so much. And I love that you're honoring your little baby, Amanda. A very small part of me wants to, but I struggle to even drive more than an hour, so I never have. I mean, you could just do some local travel. Balance is good though too. Our kiddo would keep everything he ever touched. So yeah, balance. No, same. I mean, we have shell collections, we have pine cones, we have like, yeah. So I just sort of like, obviously if it's not something really special, it's just like, and if it's like nature bits, like they just make their way back outside and stuff. But yeah, absolutely, balance is good. Okay, it is time for me to go back to work. I am, again, like, I'm so happy that we're ending this conversation with this little inner child, like, collective, collecting stuff conversation, and steered away from the yucky stuff. I think I should try to come up with a question, or we should all try to come up with a question, like, before I wrap stuff up every time, where we're just like, what was your favorite activity as a kid or something? And we're all just like, this, because I love that. Okay, bye everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out. Take care of yourselves. Do something nice for yourself and go drink some water. Okay, bye.